everyone, and welcome back to the Potspoon Kitchen. Today we are going to be making some nice crunchy exterior with a nice soft fluffy interior bread, and that is focaccia, a really popular Italian bread. So to begin our dough, we are going to add sugar, warm water, let's give this a mix. And we are adding our yeast on top. And the yeast is gonna eat all this sugar and it's going to wake up. So this is gonna sit on my countertop for about 3 to 5 minutes until the top has a nice fluffy coating of the yeast, and then we're gonna add our other ingredients. Our yeast has been activated, and now we are going to add our flour to this. I'm going to mix this with a spoon, and then I'm going to use my hands after because it's going to be very sticky. Focaccia is one of my favorite breads to eat when I go to a restaurant, an Italian restaurant. I love making focaccia so much. One of the things that we do a lot when I teach is focaccia. And it's so crispy exterior, and there's a lot of olive oil that goes into a focaccia, and some might say that it's a lot of olive oil, but that's just the authentic Italian way. A focaccia also relies heavily on gluten, and that is why we are using bread flour. You want the gluten to help you to get those nice air bubbles as the gases from the yeast are released. So now we are going to add our salt to this, because you need the yeast to activate fully before you add the salt, because salt has a very strange way of killing the yeast, and you don't want that. So this is the point that you want to add your salt, and you will find the entire recipe in the description box. You want to mix this in completely, and the more you mix, the more that gluten is going to be formed. Now let's start adding our olive oil. Let's fold this in, and you will find the entire recipe in the description box below, and also click that notification bell so that whenever I post a new video you won't be left out. So what I'm doing here, I'm just using my spoon to fold it. I'm passing the oil underneath so it doesn't stick. So now let's cover this up and leave it on the countertop for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes in a nice warm area, and let it begin its proofing process. It has now been 45 minutes and the rising process has started, and now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna stretch and fold north to south, east to west, west to east, south to north. We're going to first begin by dipping our both hands in water to prevent our hand from sticking. So every fold that we do, we are going to dip in water. Stretch. You don't want to tear it. Stretch north to south, Turn the bowl. And we are going to do this 3 times. This is going to give us those beautiful air bubbles. So those beautiful falls are in there. I'm going to put it back and allow it to sit for another 30 minutes. Now to our second fold. It's nice and jiggly, and that's what you want to see. Try not to tear it. Wet my hands one more time. I'm going to fold this under. Cover it over one last time. Do another 45 minutes rising, and then we're gonna bake it up. While our focaccia dough is rising, we have some ingredients on our countertop, and we have some salt. This is sea salt. We don't have any coarse sea salt, so we're just gonna use fine sea salt. We have some red pepper, and I have taken out most of the flesh, and I'm using the skin but also some of the flesh there, but not too much of the flesh, because we are going to be doing some bread art. I have some curly parsley. You can either use green onions or you can use chives, and if you realize I stripped it already, so we have some strips, and we're going to work with this to create a beautiful art on our focaccia. We have some Kalamata olive rings. What I did, I went ahead and I take out the broken up pieces because I want art. We have some tomatoes, less of the flesh, more of the skin. You can use cherry tomatoes as well, and I have gone ahead and cut them into some triangle pieces. I have some garlic, and I am using my garlic in dice, strips and slices, and I have some olive oil. So to begin the topping, I am adding half of my salt into the olive oil, and I am also pouring out my garlic in there as well. So we're going to be brushing this on the top of our focaccia bread before we dimple it. I'm going to give this a nice mix. I love me some garlic bread, and I love some garlic on my focaccia as well. Rosemary is also good, and if you know other toppings that I could have used on top, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. But as for now, these are the ones that I'm going to use. Maybe I could try grapes as well. Grapes is another good one. Roasted grape focaccia. If you look at inside of our bowl, you can see our dough at the bottom is filled with air bubbles, and that's what you want to see. Our dough is very shaky and wobbly, so this is now ready, and it's filled with air bubbles. So now let's go ahead and add some of our olive oil. You want to add about 2 tablespoons at the bottom. And that's the olive oil that has the garlic infused. It has been infusing for about 30 minutes, so it's very flavorful for the bottom of our focaccia. I'm going to grease all the edges. Unfortunately, I don't have a deeper dish, so I will go ahead and use the deepest one that I have in my tray. And if you notice, there's a lot of bubbles all over there. So now we're gonna pour some more olive oil. We're not gonna pour the garlic as yet. We're just gonna use the olive oil, and we're gonna spread this. Now let's use our hands and distribute it to the end of the tray. You can hold it and stretch it because the gluten has been developed properly. Try not to tear it. You just want to spread it to the corners. Try not to pierce the bottom. So now we're going to let this sit for about 30 minutes and it's going to fill the edges, so we don't have to worry about that. So let's let it sit for about 30 minutes and rise. Okay, so our focaccia has risen for about 30 minutes, and let's do the shaking test. So it's very wobbly, and that's what you want to see, and that's how you know it's ready. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna dimple this by adding some more olive oil over. We're not gonna add the garlic just as yet, but we are gonna add the garlic. Add our garlic. Distribute the garlic. Now let's do our design. So this is done, and now we're gonna bake this at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. Our focaccia just came out of the oven, and we're gonna transfer it immediately onto a cooling rack and allow it to cool for about 15 minutes. It's very, very light. It's very, very hot. Now let's cut our focaccia and see the air bubbles inside. And there you have it, our focaccia completed. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel before you leave, please hit that subscription button, hit the like button, the notification bell, so that whenever I post a new video, you won't be left out. Thank you for joining. See you on another good day for another great recipe.